Times is live. Oh boy. It is.
That was great. Yeah.
Thanks. That was intense, and I'm sure people got chills with that, like, dramatization.
Yeah. Careful. People are driving, Gideon.
That's
hi,
true.
Gideon.
Hey, Matt.
How you been?
I'm good. It's sweaty here. I'm sweating. I'm schwitzing, as they say.
Yeah.
Not to get too Yiddish.
No, please, anytime. Go for it. There's no sweatiness here as much as... It's a dry heat.
Is it always a dry heat out there?
Most of the time. Every once in a while, it's like, oh, do I sense a little bit of moisture?
In Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas, they say.
It's a dry heat.
But it's hot in Washington, D.C. How's that for a transition? I'm on fire.
Yikes. Woof,
A dry fire.
Yeah, it is a dry and soupy fire in Washington. Mm-hmm. The swamp is aflame, as they say.
On both sides.
Yes.
But especially the Democratic side, sadly.
I know. Wait, I shouldn't call it the swamp, though. But it is the
Why?
swamp, right? I don't know, because it's...
Yeah, everyone calls it the swamp. Well, he says drain the swamp.
Right.
But I think reasonable people can disagree what the swamp is and what swampiness is.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Well, because I would say the Supreme Court, they're part of the swamp, right?
Absolutely, especially these last few years.
Yeah, I just read that two senators are calling for the DOJ to do an investigation into Clarence Thomas's dealings and donors, essential donors. It does seem pretty over the top. You got to wonder that this ruling. I keep trying to make
the
sense
immunity,
of it, the immunity ruling. If just what possessed them? What was it?
I think they're defending Trump.
Yeah, right.
I think they're like the others. Like we kind of had this feeling among us who believe in institutions that like some institutions will do the right thing. But turns out, I don't know if that's true. I mean, Alito just seems kind of like, any Trumpy MAGA guy. He flies crazy flags in his house, and then, like, when they have a chance to, like, bail Trump out, this really bails him out, so...
It seems like it. I was just reading an article about how it may be very hard to try him now, and maybe even his conviction will get overturned.
Yeah, they have to go through it now. And then the Jack Smith, I think all these cases now, they have to have hearings where they're like, what were official acts and what were outside of the kind of, purview or whatever realm of the presidency. I do think Trump could still get in trouble for... trying to influence the election. I can't see any interpretation where that's an official act. Calling Georgia and saying, "Find me the votes."
Seriously,
right? Can you think of any argument?
Well, they're making it sound like everything's on the table now, but I don't know. He was president at the time, so everything he does is an official act. He was talking about voting. And
then there's this idea of like that you should presume that he's immune. So it becomes, even if they weren't official acts, it just becomes harder.
Yeah, it's kind of insane to the extent to which they brought this. And see, that's the thing. I don't even think of all of these justices as hardcore Trump people. Alito, yes. Thomas, sure. But the others, I wouldn't have thought Roberts would do this. Even, what's his name? The rapist. I wouldn't have thought he would.
Kavanaugh?
Would do this. Yeah.
The interesting thing, one thing that I thought about is that they basically must believe that the prosecution, all these indictments and cases against Donald Trump, I think they see that as overreach, and they see that as pernicious. And there's no way we, as like good citizens and reasonable people, see that as a bad thing, because we see Trump in all, he's malignant, and we see why he does certain things, and he's clearly breaking the law, and everybody around him breaks the law. But I do think there must be people on the other side, and they're like, the Democrats are out to get Trump, and this is a dangerous road for our country to go down, that presidents are just going to be suing each other and like bringing charges against each other. And then, to be fair, I mean, I guess I should be. I think, Trump, in wanting to get revenge, it does seem like that was going to happen if he gets elected.
That's
so
interesting.
There is a problem with like just, people getting, having indictments who are presidents and not being able to do their job. And yet, if you do break the law, you should be responsible.
Right. Like, let the courts do their job and decide. But the thing is, though, if you're giving him all this immunity, doesn't that make it easier for him to break the law going forward, even to the extent of getting revenge on Biden or on his political enemies?
Right. Or Biden could do it to Trump in his last few months.
Right. That's what I was saying. Well, I think that Biden should have the Supreme Court justices locked up and
as an official act.
As an official act,
and
then
DOJ do it, because then he'll be immune.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, I guess the idea is
pack
though
the
that
courts.
Right. Well, certainly he could do. I guess the idea is that the Attorney General would still be liable for breaking the law, right? Or would he be protected because it was an order
the
from
problem
president?
is he will be protected because then Trump will pardon whoever his DOJ, his Attorney General is.
Yeah.
So they may do it and then maybe they'll bring prosecution against the Attorney General. Right. And then Trump, who's in power already, will just say, you're pardoned.
Yeah. I know.
It's a mess.
So funny
I suppose you can impeach the president, so that's where they would be, held accountable potentially.
Yeah, but we know how that works.
I know. We've tried that.
Yeah.
So, not too good. Not too good.
Yeah, I
and
understand.
And the 25th Amendment,
Right, I understand that they may be seeing, things going a certain way, but it's like they don't see that they're opening this other whole Pandora's box of problems rather than kind of just keeping things as they are to an extent,
Yeah, I cannot even imagine what went through their heads and what kind of... I mean, did they sit in a room did they discuss this, or did they just all write this on their own without having a discussion?
I don't know. I mean, they read each other's opinions, I think.
Right.
Right? So does that happen over a discussion? It must.
I don't know. They must have at least one, I would think. They have a conference room in that building.
Rather than have to write it up and send it to each other and then just do it through the mail. I don't know.
I mean, it's pretty extreme. It's sad. It's pretty bad. It's like... It could lead to some terrible things.
Yeah, like really bad.
And as bad as it is, I mean, people should be discussing this and discussing taking away the rights of all Americans in the next 4 years as a big campaign issue. But right now, everything that's being discussed is Biden, able to run for president because of that debate. And we talked about this last week, but people are still talking about it. And Chuck Schumer just came out. He said, I'm on Biden's side. Biden called into Morning Joe. I guess he did okay. But then there's a bunch of congressmen, Jerry Nadler, Adam Smith, and others who are like, no, this is not going to work. And Carville came out. I mean, he'll talk. He's a big mouth, so of course he's going to speak.
Yeah, I read his piece.
But he did say, like, whether Biden likes it or not, he's not going to be the candidate, right? Something like that, right?
Yeah, something along those lines. But I don't see that happen. I really thought he was going to drop out. Literally 2 days ago, I was still thinking, like, of course he's going to end up having to drop out. But now, I don't know. It seems like he's going to stay in, and that's it.
Can they defy him? Is he the end all and be all, or can they basically put up. It seems like there will be some attempt at the convention, right? No matter what, whether it fails or succeeds, there must be some people that are basically going to get up there and say that they should choose a new candidate.
I guess, but at that point, if you're not going to succeed, you're only hurting yourself, right? And your political future and your and the candidate you hope is going to win. I don't know.
Right. Do you think everybody should just stop talking about it now that Biden seems like he's just not going to get out?
I kind of feel like they have to come to terms, and if people really want him out, then they all need to come out and say it at once in big numbers. And if not, like, they have the rest of the week, I think. And if they don't, then yeah, I think they have to shut up and just get behind Biden, and that's it.
And I think what a lot of people are saying is that Biden had the worst debate possible, but Biden should show in the next week or two whether he can do it. So he's had meetings with congressmen. He did that interview with Stephanopoulos. I didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah,
but I only saw a small portion. I can't get that debate out of my head. That's the problem. No matter what I see from now on, I was Biden's biggest supporter.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I cannot unsee that, and I think the risk of that happening again,
yes,
down the road is bigger than the risk of bringing in a new candidate.
I think you're right.
So I do kind of think, and that Adam Smith, the congressman, was on TV just a minute ago.
Schiff?
No, Smith, actually. Oh. He's a congressman, and also a congressman, I guess. I'm not sure, maybe from New York. I'm not positive. But anyway, he was just saying that Americans love something new, and if we gave them something new, everybody would get excited, and it could really help. And I guess there was a poll where Kamala Harris was, tied with Biden. With Trump.
Yeah.
So I have to say, I think it's too big a risk to have that happen again. If they go through all of this and he doesn't drop out and then it happens again, it's too late, right?
I guess, yeah, I kind of think so. At a certain point, it is going to be too late. I guess once the convention happens, that's definitively too late.
Right. Once the delegates are come out, that's the official thing where they're the state of New York.
Right. Yeah, I don't see any way out of this. He could still win. It's not like
absolutely.
Most people, there's a lot of anti-Trump votes, and Biden's been a great president overall thus far.
Yeah.
So,
Fetterman, right, has been kind of vocal because he went through a wild thing. It's not the same thing though. With Fetterman having the stroke and
right. Everyone says he got much more conservative after he had his stroke, and it does kind of seem that way about some things. So wait, what did Fetterman say though? He said,
he supports Biden. He's Biden was there for me when I was going through a hard time, and I'm sticking with Biden. And you should just look at his record. But nobody denies his record is good except the Republicans.
Right.
But it's not about his record. It's just about whether he could do it. But I agree he could potentially win. And Trump could melt down in a way that we have no idea about.
Right.
So,
you never know. That's something that is not talked about that much, is that Trump spews nonsense all the time. And garbles his words all the time. We're just used to it, and he does it with confidence. So,
totally. I think what you just said, that we're used to it, is it's just kind of baked in. We are so it's just something we know will happen, that Trump will be crazy and mentally unhinged. But if we took a break from him, or erased our memory of him and then watched him on the stump, we'd be super appalled the way we were the first few times we saw him be crazy.
I think you're right. Well, he could still get crazier. Do you think that if we had seen him fall asleep at the trial, things would be different now if there were video of it?
Oh, I do think the video would help Biden, would have helped Biden a lot. I do think that the trial, the impact of the trial and the conviction was muted because there were no TV cameras.
Yeah,
but,
I also feel like the Dems aren't even making that much of a stink of it, even.
I know.
Like, well, that was the debate. Like, that would have been the thing in the debate to be like,
true.
A felon, a convicted felon. You know, he barely made that point. Ugh.
I mean, one thing that I worry about too is that, like, the Democrats have had some success getting candidates that are pretty good, but they've also had some in the past before, like Obama and Biden. I do think they had some big trouble where they just made the wrong move about who the candidate should be. I don't know. I may be wrong, but
like who you're talking about?
I mean, like Dukakis and like even Kerry. I found kind of stiff, you know. And I mean, he almost won, but still, it just seems crazy that the Democrats couldn't find a way to beat George W. Bush, and then they couldn't figure out a way to beat him when Hillary ran. And it's just like, are you really not going to do what it takes because you're feeling sentimental towards Joe? You know, is that, like, if you feel sorry for Joe, like, I feel sorry for my kids and all Americans that will have to endure Trump, you know? Like, I
don't think that's really why people are doing it.
I don't know. Some of the politicians, though, don't you think that's why Schumer is sticking with him, or?
I mean, he might just be sticking with him because he knows there's no other option. There's no way to get rid of him without his approval, and he can see that he's not going to step down.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, you can't take it away from him. It would have to be voluntary. Schumer is a smart guy.
He really is. He really is, I think.
He doesn't have a tin ear. He kind of gets it most of the time.
I think so. I think he generally does. Yeah, so there we are. We have Biden, and who knows what he's going to do. But who knows? I mean, Trump could die.
Well, that's true. I always think about that.
Yeah.
But also, he's going to choose a VP candidate very soon because their convention is next week.
Right.
So he could choose somebody, and then something crazy like Doug Burgum could have had a cult in like the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, is that who?
I think it's between Doug Burgum. Is he North Dakota governor?
I haven't even heard this name before. Actually,
he's a bearded man, and then there's J.D. Vance,
also has
the hillbilly. He does have a mate. What's up with the beards? Well, you have a beard. Maybe he'll choose you.
Oof.
That would be weird if all he's looking at is facial hair.
Yeah.
As his criteria.
Well, the other thing is Rubio. No facial hair.
No, I think true, but I think he ruled him out because of the facial hair.
Oh, is that true? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think one thing, too, is that Doug Burgum is super rich. So it's going to be him. Unless there's some big skeleton in the closet, he's going to choose the guy who could fund the campaign.
Yeah. Wait, what is it? Doug Burgum might be the guy. I don't know what I was going to say. Sorry.
That's okay.
With Burgum?
Oh, well, just that he's rich and he's going to help fund the campaign.
Oh, this is what
he's going to pay all of Trump's legal bills.
Right. Well, there's that, and I think that if Trump wins, I think he may become so obsessed with breaking the law to enrich himself and knowing he can get away with it. That's what he'll put all his energy toward, rather than getting too deep into politics. Although all the people around him are just salivating to have mass deportations and I don't know, send the army into blue cities. It's just is that really going to happen? It's scary.
Right.
It really
yeah.
is
The second term thing, sometimes it's you don't have to be accountable, so he doesn't have to kowtow to the crazies as much.
That's true. But he also doesn't. But I mean, he's crazy too, so he might just decide to do it. But
he will break. Like you said, he's going to break the law. They announced the Saudi Arabia Trump Tower. Did you hear that?
I heard it was in the works, but
I'm sure that was going on during the presidency, right?
I'm sure.
We'll overlook that guy that you sawed up.
Yeah,
remember that? What's his name? They probably said we'll overlook the Khashoggi murder, if you let me build Trump Tower. And then, of course, Jared got all this money from Saudi.
Yeah,
from the Saudis.
The Democrats are overlooking the Saudis, too. It's really
true.
Not the best thing we do there with that relationship.
No.
But it does seem like that country is changing a little bit, at least for the better.
Maybe. We'll see. Oh, and Iran elected well, this is another thing. Maybe we'll do it on another episode. But the conservatives in England, France, and also in Iran all lost in the last few days.
I know. And it's so funny because all you hear in the news is like, oh, the rise of the far right constantly. And
I know.
They lost. And they were kind of like, and then all the articles were like, well, yeah, the left won in a big surprise, but it doesn't feel like they won or something like that.
Right.
It's
Pundits suck. I mean, they really do suck.
I don't understand
and Trump could lose by a lot. And all these polls could be wrong. I mean, maybe part of why Biden isn't leaving is because his internal polls are saying we're going to crush him.
Maybe. I heard that they leaked an internal
Oh, did they?
Leaked, and it was bad.
Oh, boy.
I do question the polls. It does seem hard to believe that people would want Trump back, but I don't. Who knows? And why are they so unhappy in the economy as it is? It doesn't make, I don't know.
I know.
It's a mystery.
So many answers.
Yeah. Is it
so many
just,
questions? Yeah, no answers.
Angry white people losing their dominance? Is that what's going on? I don't know.
Maybe. So okay. Next week is the convention in Wisconsin, the Republicans, and they're not allowing Nikki Haley to be there. Oh, my dog on cue is barking. Any predictions before we wrap the show?
Why, they're not allowing her to be there? I didn't know that.
I guess they didn't invite her. Maybe she'll
funny.
sneak in.
I just saw that she released her delegates and encouraged them to vote for Trump. So,
oh boy,
it was only like 90-something delegates, but so that's odd that they wouldn't allow her. But
yeah,
doesn't shock me in a way either.
Well, I guess her people won't vote for Trump. Maybe
that'd be cool
since she's getting slighted. So, well, I guess we'll see what happens. It'll be my prediction is Doug Burgum.
Okay.
And, I don't know, a lot of crazy talk about, arresting women, stuff like that. And getting rid of in vitro fertilization.
Yeah.
Oh, Project 2025, oh boy. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up, but interesting chat, Matt, and we'll, because, it's always interesting.
Yep, times are getting more interestinger.
In a bad way.
Indeed.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your week, and we will talk soon. See you next time.
Bye-bye.